Ladies and gentlemen, we've gone round the bend. We have gone round the bend in Oklahoma. There, there are radicals out there who are determined to keep kids in their sphere of influence. They are determined to keep kids under their wing in order to indoctrinate them into becoming radical political activists. And what I have up here today is something that was sent from me from the Blue Dot, the Diary of a Blue Dot in Oklahoma. And what we're seeing here is a progressive radicalism that will lead to violence. We are seeing a progressive radicalism that will lead to making your kids become violent. Those of you who have watched me know that I have had some issues with the details pertaining to school choice. And while I still have some of those issues, this kind of rhetoric underscores the need for something to change. This kind of rhetoric underscores the need for us to rethink the way that we educate our kids. Because I have seen firsthand how this progresses. I've seen firsthand teachers lead marches outside of schools with students for political purposes that all seem to go towards one direction of the political spectrum. The violence and the demonstrations that have turned into violence over the last 3 years are only going to increase if we don't stop the radical implantation of radical ideas, not radical ideas, but radical politics into our education system. And let me just couch this, because you know I have been somewhat critical of school choice in the past. When you see people calling for the assassination, when you see people calling for the tearing down of people's lives to stop a policy they may not agree with, you must start to rethink what it is that you have to do to stop this progression, this long march through the institutions. Now, I will not say that school choice is going to be the silver bullet for anything. I will say that we need to deal with the influx of data and technology into any school, whether public or private, in order to stop some of this, whether you're in a school choice school or not. You need to look at your universities and start revamping what they do and how they train the teachers that are going to fill any school. But one thing I can tell you for sure is that public schools are becoming without redemption, because they are filled with people over the course of the last 15 or 20 years who have made it their mission to implant and embed a political doctrine as a religion in the minds of your kids. And it's only increasing and has only increased over the last 2 or 3 years. And regardless of whatever issue I may have with the details pertaining to school choice in this state or any other, calling for the assassination of public officials to achieve a stop for that is a prime example of where the politics of the left have gone in this country. And anyone who will throw anything at me to try to discredit what I'm saying here, stick to topic, because we have people right here, like on this tweet that was shared by Libs of TikTok today that I put together, from the Blue Dot of Oklahoma, the Diary of a Blue Dot. I looked, I saw no repudiation of this. I saw nothing taken down on this. Progressivism progresses, ladies and gentlemen. Progressivism progresses, and it always progresses in one direction. If you listen to Jesse Kelly just recently, I think it was the day before the election, talking about him, he talked about how he believes that the left is going to progress into radical political violence. How are they going to progress into radical political violence? They're going to train your kids to think that this is a religious belief, that their political thoughts and their political identities have transplanted their actual identities. So that if you disagree with their politics, you will in turn be disagreeing with their personhood, who they truly are as people, and what they hold most dear in the world, which is a leftist political belief system, which is a radical Marxist political belief system designed to make them nothing more than missiles. Nothing more than missiles toward a goal of achieving the complete takeover of an American society that they want nothing to do with. They want to disrupt and dismantle it from top to bottom. And so I must confess, a bit of change of heart, because I'm not seeing just this. This is the one I could confirm, the one that wasn't put down. But since Ryan Walters and Governor Stitt have won the election, I've seen a ramp up in rhetoric from the left on the nether regions of Twitter. And if they see the bastion, there are signals that the right is starting to focus on universities, which they absolutely should do. There are signals that the right is gaining ground in the fight for parental rights in Oklahoma and other states. And again, I do not believe that school choice is a silver bullet. I have some questions. I will continue to have some questions, but this is an example of the progression of leftist thinking in our society. This is an example of the radical progression of these ideas. They will stop at nothing to continue the long march through the institutions. Now, I do have to note as noted by Paul Rossi and many others, that private schools are not immune to this. But we're seeing when the NEA comes out, when the NEA comes out and starts saying the quiet part out loud, that the teachers that they support, but only the ones they support, not the ones they don't, know better than the parents what their kids need, what they should be taught, who should be teaching them, because they make the claim that teachers have some kind of magic pill that they're given in university education systems. I've been through that system, ladies and gentlemen. There's no magic pill. The only pill there is it's a blue. It's a blue pill. And that's what's given to them. That's what's implanted in their minds, is a giant blue pill designed to increasingly radicalize them towards a religious belief in a political system that they see as being their savior, as their doctrine, their new religion. Wokeism, DEI, CRT, queer theory, all these, it is a hacking of the separation of church and state. They've implanted a secularized religious belief system in your schools, and it's in so deep in the public schools right now. It's embedded so deep that something radical is going to have to be done to stop it. But we are going to have to remain vigilant while we do this. Because again, data is the key here. We need to focus on SEL and making sure that there's no semblance of that, no covert mechanism that involves your teachers practicing psychology on your kids without a license. Implanted in public or private schools. I do believe in many ways we have school choice. I do believe that parents should take more ownership of their kids' education. I do believe that there are things to worry about the way that school choice is being structured, but and I believe that order of operations is important. But I also know that when you see leftists, when you see radical Marxist, identity Marxists, blue checks, blue dots all over social media, in video after video after video, from libs of TikTok, from I Inside the Classroom, from other people who are showing you that kind of thing. We need to investigate what it is that we can do to remove that influence from our kids. We have to. I worry greatly that we might fall for a trap, but I also know and have learned that change takes time. So I will remain a heterodox individual on this subject. But when I say heterodox, it means my mind is going to be open. And what I will not tolerate, whether I agree with the policy or not, ladies and gentlemen, whether I agree with the policy or not, is calls for political violence to stop it. What I will not agree with under any circumstances is a policy discussion being devolved into physical, actual political violence. We must explore all options because this is not the only thing I'm seeing in this regard. This is not the only thing I'm seeing. I've been gathering things, other things that will come up, and that I will show you. When you see school boards banning parents from school premises for daring to question pornography being in their schools and placed in front of their children, something's got to be done. The first thing that has to be done is you must vote out those school board members and replace them with people who are committed to keeping their students away from a method of education designed to create nothing more than political automatons, robots towards a political goal. Because when you talk about Marxism, ladies and gentlemen, if you've read, you should go back and read A Brave New World. Because the sexualization of children was and is a part of the Marxist playbook in order to remove children from parents. And when you have the National Education Association coming in and stating the quiet part out loud, and you see what they're trying to protect in your school systems, A Brave New World becomes less utopian fantasy and more utopian prophecy. When you see leaders coming out of the WEF stating that, well, what we'll have to do with kids that don't meet the standard that we think they should meet, we're going to have to ply them with drugs and video games. Read A Brave New World. Soma was a drug designed to keep people docile. And I know you're going to say, oh, this is crazy, crazy, crazy. It's when you can make a clear parallel, when you can see objectively with your own eyes the movement towards this progression, the movement towards this goal, whether you're talking about community schools, whether you're talking about, which is a giant push here in Oklahoma right now, they want to create an ecosystem. They want to create an ecosystem designed to remove the parent from the decision making of the child. So I've been doing a lot of reading. I've been doing a lot of study. I still have questions. But we have to look at every single option that we have. And then we need to look at every option and make every option as strong as we can make it. So here is my message. If school choice is a catalyst and a part of that, we need to make school choice woke proof. We need to make school choice we need to protect the parents' rights who want to be able to take their kids and educate them at home, because parents should be the decider of what their children do in terms of their education. And then I go to this. We need people out there, if school choice, or even if school choice doesn't pass, who are going to start building their own schools, like-minded people. And we need the companies that support the values that we want our children to be imbibed with, to start funding those people who want to build those schools. We need to keep giant woke organizations like Google and Amazon and Apple and others out of that process. We need a grassroots funding of schools in order to make sure that we keep our message for our children focused on the basics and free of any political movement towards a radical agenda designed to do nothing more than keep your kids away from you. We're going to have to get up and get involved. Parents, you need to become the primary educators of your kids. And then you need to be as involved in every school that your child is in, public, private, or in between, university, top to bottom. If you're paying the bill, it needs to be under your control. We need to reform and restructure the entire university system. We need to de-incentivize a radical teacher certification system that incentivizes the hiring of those teachers and administrators first. And that starts at your university. Here's the tweet. I'm going to try to blow it up here. The tweet is Diary of Blue Dot says, what can we do to keep Stitt and Walters from completely decimating the Oklahoma public school system? I do not believe that the measures taken, if done right, will decimate the public school system. We need to make sure that there are safeguards to keep the government from being able to regulate private schools. And then a responder here says, assassination. This cannot continue, ladies and gentlemen. It absolutely cannot continue. It cannot. We cannot allow this progression towards violent radicalism to continue. So I find myself going, what other choices do we have? I've tried to get politicians to focus on the universities. I've tried to get politicians to focus on the teacher certification system. I've tried. But the red wave was stopped, ladies and gentlemen. The red wave was stopped by a large portion, larger than normal, Gen Z voters, because they were raised to believe in this school system that their tithe is deposited in the ballot box. They were raised to believe that their tithe was to be deposited in the ballot box. The numbers are showing us is that whatever red wave, because the philosophy of the schoolhouse in one generation will be the philosophy of government in the next. And boomers are vastly becoming less influential in our election system. COVID, the average age for a COVID death was 79 years old. And since then, there has been much more push from educators in this country to make sure that kids are politically active towards a specific political goal, towards one side of the spectrum. And it will never stop progressing. It will never, ever stop progressing. So, this is where I'm at, ladies and gentlemen. We need to explore all options. And those of you who know me, I'm not afraid to speak my mind. I'm not afraid to question. But I'm also not afraid to question myself. I'm not afraid to, if I am wrong, admit I'm wrong. And I'm not quite there yet, but I'm telling you, it's something's got to be done. Something has to be done. And Ryan Walters is a friend of mine. And he's the father of 4 children. And calling for him to be slain because you don't like, again, I've had my criticisms of school choice. But calling for someone to be cut down because you don't agree with their political position, because you don't agree with a policy, these are the same people that have wailing and gnashing of teeth over January 6th, but ignored the summer of love in 2020. The woke have 2 rule books, ladies and gentlemen. They have 2 rule books. One applies to you and doesn't apply to them. It's time to have absolute intolerance towards this kind of political rhetoric. It's time to call it out and make everybody be aware of it. No more. And no more pushing our kids into this line of thought. No more. That's where I'm at. I'm going to continue to study. I'm going to continue to read. I'm going to continue to talk to people I know and trust. But if there's any more of this, you're going to turn. See, this is the thing. It's just like the NEA today, coming out and saying that they know better than the parents about who should educate their kids and what they should educate their kids with is a losing argument. And you're going to lose people like me who've questioned or have questions about policy, seriously, I'm a policy wonk. I look at how policies intersect, but you're going to lose us. No more. Absolutely no more. So that's my video on that today, guys. If you appreciate what I said, please like, subscribe. If you have any questions for me, comment in the box. If you want to reach out to me, you can. Hit the bell, share the video. Don't allow anybody to think for you, and don't allow this to continue. This must be completely denounced. It must be completely denounced. No more. Stand woke, people. I'll be back later.